And today, our panel, Your Next Good Read, we helped you to shape the literally personalities that you are today. Please, would you like to take your microphone? We wouldn't like to miss a word of what you are saying.
Yeah, it's on. Hi, everybody. It's always very funny when I get asked these questions because, to some extent, I feel like a fraud. I mean, what do I know? I mean, maybe what I like is not what you like, but I'll tell you what I do like. I like stories that are fast paced, not too fast though, but also stories that explore relationships, stories that explore family relationships, romantic relationships, sexual relationships, and throw in a little bit of politics and whatever. So those are the kinds of books I like. So one of the books that I have enjoyed reading lately, I'm going to start with books that I've recently enjoyed. There is a book that came out probably last year by a Ghanaian writer. And because I'm a Ghanaian and people don't know much about Ghanaian writers, I'm going to focus a little bit on my Ghanaian girls. And so this book is called His Only Wife. But is it his only wife? And the book is written by a woman called Bisi Adjapon. She's a Ghanaian and resident in the UK. And I just started reading this, and let me tell you, it's nice, it's short, but at the same time, you just don't want to stop reading because here is a girl that is in an arranged marriage, and you're going to go, oh, yawn, it's another one. But actually, she's not so unwilling. I mean, the gentleman is well to do, he is well educated, and she's looking forward to being his only wife. What she doesn't know is why this marriage has been arranged. So I'll leave it to you to find out about his only wife.
That is a very, very great book. I must be very honest. When it was around Christmas time, I felt like everybody's getting a present. So, what am I going to buy for myself? And it was her book. And I loved it. It's actually a
Oh, you've
beautiful
read it?
story. Of
Great,
course.
good.
So, shout out to Peace.
Yes.
So, Mr. Garricks, are you already kind of teased? Would you already want to read that book? Or do you have another great book that you read recently?
I would like to read the book. Hi, good afternoon, everyone. Let me start. Let me start that way by saying good afternoon, everyone. A proper, well-raised African child, so you have to say good afternoon, not hello. Because
Okay.
my late mom, if you greet someone by hello, she'll be like, "No, I didn't. I raised you better than that." Good afternoon. So, books I've read. So I will start with a disclaimer. I'm the worst person to ask this question at this time. This is because most of the stuff I'm reading at the moment are manuscripts, half finished, right? So apart from the fact that I write, I also edit. Now, I edited a book that came out this year. It's called The Days of Silence. It's by Angels Patrick Amegbe. I think she lives in Belgium. But it came out this year, published by Masobe Books. That's a good one. But there's even one I really love. Now the title hooked me. I'm editing it now. It's supposed to come out by the end of this year. I'm in the process of editing it, co-editing it. It's titled "Nearly All the Men in Lagos Are Mad." Now, as you can tell from the title, it's it's a very, you know, there's a section of this section of the feminist world, or some women who say men has come, right? You've heard that, right? You've never heard that.
Never.
You should travel more.
Maybe.
So
Okay, may I call you a liar? I shouldn't have said that.
but that book is set in Lagos. It's about relationships, sexual relationships, and different, and it's fantastic, if I do say so myself. It's coming out this year. It's Nearly All the Men in Lagos Are Mad. You can pre-order now. You can get it on. You can start pre-ordering, and you get it on Amazon when it comes out. In case it's not published in, published in the West at the moment, because it's going to be published first in Nigeria. So yes, so it's the book about men as come. This is all the things that men do. These are all the stories. A collection of 12 short stories, and some stories that are really. I mean, I'm editing it and I'm laughing. So I can.
That's good.
Yes. So yeah.
I like that you are actually already giving us the books that are not yet out. So it's like, watch out.
Watch out.
Please say again the title. Say it very loud and clear.
So Lagos men have a reputation. I can say this because I'm not a Lagos man. I'm a Port Harcourt guy. Port Harcourt is not in Port Harcourt is a different city from Lagos. So Lagos men have this reputation. They're also called Yoruba demons and all this. Yeah, it's like So they have a history of all that of various sins about against women, so to speak. And so the young lady who's writing the book, she's also an actress, multi-talented, and she's like decided to put some of those stories in fiction, hide it in fiction. So
What's her name again?
Damilare Kuku.
Dami.
Kuku. Title of the book: Nearly All the Men in Lagos Are Mad. And ask any Nigerian woman about Lagos men, they'll tell you, they'll fill you in, Are you a Lagos man? So yeah. So.
Great. I see. Bisi?
Well, I was also going to say that there is just, following what he has said about a book that is coming out, there's actually a book that is coming out by this author. If you have ever read The 100 Wells of Salaga, that is Aisha Haruna Atta, and I think that book was even translated into German. I think the German edition is coming out or has come out. I saw a cover. I can't say the German. D. Oh, okay. So Aisha wrote that book, but following that, she has come out with a young adult version because in the book, there were twin sisters that got separated when they were sold as slaves. So there is now a follow-up story that is very interesting, and it's called The Deep Blue, and it follows the twin sisters trying to find each other, and it's a really beautiful story. She also has another book, which is coming out, and I find that interesting because people think Africans don't write romantic books, but she has a romance story coming up, and it's called Zainab Takes New York. Now, I find Aisha's books very important because I think Aisha is doing the same thing for Nigeria. That there are not many books set in the northern part within the Muslim culture, but particularly in the northern parts of our countries, in the northern parts, because they also tend to be very conservative, and people don't write stories. And Abubakar wrote Season of Crimson Blossoms, and I absolutely love that book. So if you haven't read it, read it. It is very intense. There is Zainab Takes New York that is coming up. It is available for pre-order if you want to go on Amazon. And there is The Deep Blue, which is the young adult. So thank you.
And of course, you can also wait and go to your local book dealer. I'm just saying, local please walk to your local book dealer.
Yeah. Or you can ask InterKontinental to order the books for you. Even
InterKontinental. Same. You know how it goes.
Yeah. I'm just amazed. I wish I lived in Berlin. I would live in that bookstore. That is simply amazing. So if you're not in the habit of going there, I beg you, hightail it there, and you are going to find some amazing baggings.
And till you go there the next time, feel free in the break to walk up and see the amazing stands. So many lovely books. Just the covers alone will just take you away. So if you feel like, oh my God, I brought my bag anyway, it's empty, well, this is the chance. Or you feel like, oh, these great people have not mentioned other books. That doesn't mean anything. The books that you see there, you can't go wrong. Please feel free. And then you also have friends. Is it a crime once in a while? Just here, I went to a festival. Here's a book for you. It's not your birthday. It's not anything special. I just want to make you happy. So please buy the books. These words are powerful. So these were already some books. What else? What are the books? These are the books that haven't even been written, or they are very new. But what are books where you would say, oh wow, I read this book and this took me away. It was an opening. It was like, that changed my life. Or didn't. Or said, I read this book, I want to become a writer.
Well, I'll tell you exactly who for me. That was Amateidu. Now, Amateidu is probably one of the earliest feminists in Africa, and particularly in Ghana. And I was shocked to find the kind of books that she was writing. I mean, very, very long time ago, at a time when women were not writing feminist literature. She is fortunate to have had a very unconventional upbringing. She told me this. I asked her at a gathering like yours, I raised my hand and I asked her a question, and have since gotten to know her personally. She wrote this book called Changes, and it's about a modern couple living in the capital, and they have one car. And the issue is who gets to use the car? And of course, naturally, is the man. And they're both full-time workers, and there are sexual issues. The book is amazing. It is deep, and it's also quite small. And the title is actually called Changes. So I have that book by my bedside, and I read it every now and then. And hearing Amateidu speak is something else. Some of you may have even seen video clips. She is an amazing writer, and she was an inspiration to me also because I have a theater background, and I absolutely loved her plays. And in my high school, she wrote one of my favorite plays. I didn't know that. If you've ever heard of this play, The Dilemma of a Ghost. It was an award-winning play, and we acted in that, and she was such an inspiration to me. I knew I wanted to grow up and be like her and to write books like her. So I know that InterKontinental eventually, very soon actually, probably will order some of these books. So if you see Amateidu, go and get her book because it is simply amazing, all her books, but in particular, Changes and The Dilemma of a Ghost.
Oh, I love it too. Mr. Garricks, do you know Amateidu as well?
Yes.
And?
Yes. She's fantastic. She's like up there.
So I've literally have the same question. Is there a book, or you said no, I want to write this book that will change my life?
Okay, so I'll start by telling a story. Growing up Nigerian, in my generation, the big authors at the time when I was younger, it was Chinua Achebe, Wole Soyinka, right? So these were the big names. Now, they weren't actually my favorite people. My favorite people was possibly a lesser-known author, a lesser-known Nigerian author called Cyprian Ekwensi. It's lesser known, but for me, I found his writing fantastic. He wrote a book called Burning Grass, right? It's about a group of nomadic Fulani herdsmen. Now, for those who don't know, in Africa, Fulani herdsmen take cattle across country. You know, it takes months. They settle in certain places, come back, get the cattle fed, walk them back across the country. It's been a tradition for centuries. Now you can imagine, and he's not Fulani. That's the funny thing about him. He's a totally different tribe. He's Igbo. It's totally a tribe that has nothing to do with cattle herding, so to speak, traditionally. And he wrote this fantastic book. And there's me, a little, probably middle-class kid in Port Harcourt. I'm like maybe 7, 8. I read the book when I shouldn't have been reading the book because it was kind of above me, but I was kind of a kid who would go and steal books and read. And I'm reading this book, and the book had this impact on me that for a long time, when you're a kid, you're stupid. When they ask you what you want to do, you say all sorts of things, and your parents are aghast. And they asked me what I wanted to do, and I remember saying I wanted to be a headsman. And, it is for you to understand the context, like I said, middle-class kid somewhere in a city, in a proper city, and you want to be like a headsman, like that takes cattle across the Sahel down to the, and my parents were looking at me like, like something is wrong with you. You understand? It didn't help. I think they asked me one time what I wanted to be, and I said, another time, because I noticed their disappointments, and they asked me another time what I wanted to be, and I just heard the word politician. I didn't know what it was. I'm not sure I knew what it was, so I said politician, and disappointments, I just kept on digging my grave. So for a long time, it was a story about a family of headsmen. You understand how they split up. It was just a simple story, but it's had this impact on me. It's called Burning Grass by a guy called Sipo Nekwensi. He's dead now. So he's one of my greatest writers, influences. Then there's another guy who is alive. I think personally, in my opinion, everybody has their biases and all that. Everyone has what they like. Subjective. He's slightly older. I've met him. He's still alive. I think he's the greatest living Nigerian writer. To me, he's also not as well known. Mm-hmm. His name is Chuma Nwokolo. Mm-hmm. The guy is funny. He's perfect. He came at a time when, sometimes in life you need to be lucky, you need to catch a wave. Mm-hmm. You come at a good time, literature is booming and all that. Mm-hmm. He came he wasn't that lucky, in my opinion. Mm-hmm. He caught the tail end of pace setters. For those who know African literature, what pace setters were. He caught the tail end of pace setters. He wrote, I think, 1 or 2. Mm-hmm. Then he wrote, after that pace setter period when Nigerian literature was in the doldrums and nobody really knew what was happening until Chimamanda came and everything picked up. So he did some of his work at that point. So he didn't quite catch that wave, right? It's just how life is. Sometimes you're lucky, sometimes you're not. But his stories are fantastic. The one I would recommend is called Diaries of a Dead African. Mm-hmm. It's a novella, but it's just like 3 short stories in one about a man and his 2 sons, and it's dark humor. It's like real dark humor, the kind of thing you shouldn't be laughing at, but you laugh, you understand? And it's really funny. Chuma Nwokolo, Google him. When are we going to talk about our own books? Because we're plugging other people's books, and
Oh, that's what we do.
Okay.
Oh, you do write books too. Tell me, what's the title of your book?
So, should Bisi go first?
Oh, no, since you mentioned it, you just go ahead and, let's speak about if you happen to have written a book.
Okay, so I've written 2 books. The first was a novel. It's titled Tomorrow Died Yesterday. For those who know about Nigeria, a bit about Nigeria, about the oil history and oil conflicts and all that, if I may plug the book, it's the definitive book, if you want to understand the conflicts of how complex it is, of the Niger Delta crisis and all that, all the militancy that was happening and all the, most of you might have heard of Ken Saro-Wiwa and all the things he fought for and all that. This is, this kind of book, this book explains how complex it is.
Sorry, I didn't catch the name quite right. What was the name?
Tomorrow Died Yesterday.
Okay.
Tomorrow Died Yesterday.
I see.
So I wrote the book. It was set in the Niger Delta. It was a story about 4 friends, But the Niger Delta crisis is such a big thing that it became the main thing about the book. So I would go somewhere and they would ask me all the questions about the Niger Delta, and I'm like, I would answer, but I'm like, this is a book about friendship and all that. They ask me about what I think about militancy, what I think about government corruption, what I think about the oil companies causing oil spills and all that. I was like, oh, sugar, I'm tired of, I became the Niger Delta writer. Then 10 years later, I now wrote a collection of short stories. It's set in the Niger Delta, but that's it. There's nothing about oil there. Just went out of it. And it's a book about relationships. It's a collection of short stories. It's just different people. And it was deliberate because I wanted... Sometimes with African writers, sometimes the expectation on us is to be deep and very, we should write about complex topics. We should write about politics. There's this whole, what do you think about this? What do you think about this? I just want to write about people falling in love and men cheating on their wives and, just little things that happen to most people day to day, just to show that we are human